Alright, cool. So this video is going to be called How to Visualize Correctly. I'm going to explain to you how to visualize correctly, but from an internal perspective. So therefore it has to reflect externally. So I'm going to explain this in a different type of way from my perspective. Again, you do not have to take my beliefs if you do not feel like it. These are just my best way of trying to explain to you how to visualize correctly. If you see me look down, there's the whiteboard, and yeah, I'm just a student of these things. So yeah, so you wanna essentially write down your desired reality clearly. Now, once you write it down and all that, you are now embodying that version of yourself. So you have to now have a new self-worth, a new concept, a new self-concept, a new set of beliefs, because this is a new version of you essentially. So this new version of you is internally, you know internally now you're this version of yourself. So you then have to operate through your actions, through everything you're doing, all activities consciously before doing. You have to say you're this version of yourself internally. And because you're saying you're essentially your manifested version of yourself or your desired version of yourself, you are your essentially desired reality now, because that visualization and that embodiment of you now operating from that version of yourself, you're therefore creating new results, and new results create new effects because you're operating from a new frequency internally by embodying the version of yourself you've written down, the desired version of yourself, and now acting from that version of yourself in all actions. So because you're now doing that, you essentially are your desired reality already. So how to visualize correctly now? Internally, you have to then So internally, you have to then visualize yourself with these emotions. So internally, you have to expect to feel good, relaxed, full, satisfied, safe, secure, abundant, prosperity. Not externally, in the sense of when you say you are rich internally, you shouldn't think externally and think rich is, in your concept, X amount of money. Rich should be internally having X amount of money from that new version of yourself, because the new version of yourself has a new self-worth, a new set of beliefs, a new self-concept, a new way of doing things, therefore creating new results, which creates new actions, which create new effects. But first, it all starts internally. So that's why I'm explaining it from an internal sense. So that's why you have to say you're the emotions internally. So you have to tell yourself, like, you expect your beliefs, emotions, and behaviors to align with your being, or with that manifested version of yourself, and then act as if from that version of yourself. You can then say things that you expect things to feel effortless. And once you then expect that from that version of yourself, that manifested version of yourself, you will then feel that all things begin to feel effortless, because that's what you said internally, and whatever you say, the subconscious obeys. So you just have to visualize and keep visualizing that memory through meditation or relaxation, and by being able to emotionally intensify with a thought. All you have to do is, while you're relaxing, gather a thought, emotionally intensify with it, and through you looping that thought, and then, like I said, acting as if that version of yourself already, now that thought is in the past, therefore your intuition will lead you to the events going to that visualization, because it's now in the past, in your head, in your subconscious, and the subconscious obeys. So therefore your intuition, and you trust in your intuition, not necessarily logic, even though some stuff is logical, you can apply your own synchronicities and say you have your own set of beliefs, and your beliefs serve you in your subconscious. And you can say stuff like you're expected to be rewarded and congratulated. And because you now accept and are used to these things internally, you then have to change your emotional association with the words. Because the reason I say this is because, for example, a poor person could say they want to attract money, but to them, if they grew up money had problems associated with it emotionally, what they saw, because they have a negative perception of money in a sense, they just have to emotionally intensify it and have a visualization of it through a positive, intense experience, just through relaxation and meditation. And then through it now being a positive experience, and because in their subconscious they can now change the emotional association of that word from the new version of themselves. Essentially, this is then true in the subconscious, because again, you're acting as if you've already done it. So once you're acting as if you've already done it, essentially the visualization is then in the past, therefore the manifestation already happened. So once you're embodying and doing all your actions from that version of yourself, essentially the manifestation has already taken place. Because the manifestation has already taken place, you're already manifesting. So everyone's manifesting without realizing. They just do it internally, because everything starts internally and then reflects externally. So this is why you have to change yourself internally by building a new frequency, which is a new awareness, which is a new, which then creates new results and new effects. But you have to do this in all aspects, in all realms. So you have to be abundant in all realms. So in the mind, spirit, and the physical. But it first has to start internally. So in the mind, the visualization, it has to start in the mind internally as the thought, emotionally intensifying with the thought internally, and then through that process, because you're now acting and embodying that version of yourself, the new version, and you then write down a new set of beliefs, a new set of emotional associations with words, new definitions of words. You can change all your negative experiences to positive experiences as this new version of yourself. And then because now, like I said, the manifestation, you're acting as if you're already that version of yourself now. The manifestation is in the past, therefore you're manifesting. So therefore, that's your intuition now leading you to that event, essentially like deja vu, because now it's already happened. So your intuition just then leads you up to the events of it taking place, but you have to keep rehearsing and keep visualizing this memory in your head. So you have to keep rehearsing. So you have to, so when this memory gathers, emotionally intensify it with it. So feel good with it. Then keep vividly picturing it. Imagine someone congratulating you or high-fiving you. So there's physical contact. There's congratulations, so you emotionally feel it. There's physical contact, and it's someone you like or someone you know. So basically, it's a good experience. So through this quick, let's say 10-second visualization, that essentially is now your desired reality, or your, let's say, manifestation. So of whatever it is, you just have to now act as if it's already happened, because it's in the past, and then embody the version of yourself that's already done it. So now you've already done it, your intuition is just taking you essentially through the events leading up to it, and then it happens. So that is how to visualize correctly, but in the sense of internally. This is why I said correctly, because I'm explaining it from an internal perspective, in the sense of the way Neural Knowledge explains his videos from an internal perspective, to make it easier for you to understand. And yeah, feel free to comment your opinions and what you think about my way of explaining it, because again, I might have missed out some parts. So yeah, always feel free to comment. I take constructive criticism. And yeah, last thing I'll add is with the visualization correctly, as within, as without, which is again the internal concept of as within. You have to be as within and embody that version of yourself because it's as within. So internally, you're that version already as without. So once you produce this version internally, you now embody and do the things of this version in reality, therefore creating new results create new effects. But the original cause is you changing internally to a new frequency, which is just a new awareness, which is just a new version of yourself. And then the result is embodying that version of yourself, and then the action is the effect. So therefore, when the new results do happen, the new action or the new results, so the new creation now, the new result is now the cause. The new result, the effect of the new result is because of the new frequency. So it starts with you internally being that version of yourself internally first, and acting as if that version of yourself internally now, because now it's already happened. So that's the result. You're embodying that version of yourself. That's the result. And then the effect of acting as if that version of yourself has already happened. It happens. That's the effect. It happens because it has happened, because you put it in the past in your subconscious, and the subconscious obeys whatever you tell it, good or bad, and emotionally intensifies to all emotions. The more intense it is, the more it magnifies to it. But the same way you can have bad emotional intense experience with things, you can change it just as easily to positive ones by relaxation and meditation and visualization and emotionally intensifying with it and changing the memory or the visualization from a bad one to a good one, and just like that. And you can do that with all emotions. And yeah, there is duality in everything. So that is how to visualize correctly from my perspective. Again, feel free to comment if you feel like there's parts I left out, if you feel like you like more videos. Yeah, just comment. Take notes as well, because I feel like I explain it in a really simple way. That's what I intend to do, explain it in the simplest way to someone so it makes sense.